Alrighty, in this video here, we're going to learn how to add a renter. And I would encourage you to go along with me and do this and set up a test renter so that you can understand the exact experience a test renter goes through when you do get a real renter in here. And it'll also help you get more familiar with the system as well. So let's go ahead and add a renter. So we just go to Renters, Add a Renter. At this point, it's simply going to fill out the contact email, name, and payment email on here. Okay, so I filled out the information. I'm going to click down here, Add a Renter. And you see it's done successfully because it says the renter, Chris Test 5, has been added to your account. So this is what the renters page looks like. First thing we're going to do on here is we're going to manually add a lease contract. So I'll click this button. And I'm going to drop down from the various assets that I have. I'm going to select the first asset. Click on here. I'm going to select today's date. And I'll just put the price in. Leave the invoice module on and create. Okay, so it says that I've successfully created one. Next thing that it's asking and reminding you to do is to click on the Activate Site Manager. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a username and password and a separate login detail for your renter. Let's go ahead and click this. And this is the pre-made email that will go out to your client. It's pre-populated. It will put in your name in here based on the name that you entered in your settings. This is all customizable. We recommend that you keep it the same, however. I'm going to go ahead and activate and send. And this is sending out to the email that I entered in. Then I'm going to log into that email. So it lets you know every time that it's been successfully done in here. Just giving you a general reminder on here to make sure that your renter checks their spam mail so they don't miss the email. Here's the email right here. Go ahead and click on that. It says me because I emailed it to myself. Otherwise, it would have said the name on there, Chris Winters. So here's the login information right here and the URL. So I recommend that you open this up in a separate browser. So right now I'm in Firefox. So I'm gonna log in as my test user from a Chrome browser. Simply just copied and pasted the information that I sent to myself. I'm opening up in a separate browser and a Chrome. Okay, so here it is. Right here, you get a start here. This is what the customer experience will be. There'll be a short video that they can play here, and it'll just tell them to go over the various tabs here. By the time you see this, you won't see the lease contract tab. We've shortened it down into 3 tabs: the property management, invoice, and get support. Let's start with the property management. In the property management here, they have the ability to customize it, and we'll go over some examples with that in just a second. In my invoices, well, it's explanatory. Here's the invoice number, invoice date, paid, no, and view actions. If they view it, then this is the invoice that they get right here, and this will go directly to your PayPal account. So when they click on this, they're taken to a PayPal. They'll log in. It generates automatically an invoice to your PayPal and is paid in there. We collect the invoice, or we collect your PayPal email when you purchased the course. We have obviously no access to that. We've just tied the two together. Okay? So you don't have to do anything with that. The get support, customer would simply fill out this information. It would be sent to the email that you included when you opened your SERP release, and you go into settings. And in settings, your personal settings, you'll have a support email. So whatever support email you put here, and we recommend that you put something like support@ and then yourdomain.com. Okay, so now that we're getting familiar with customers, adding a customer, let's go ahead and now take a look at their assets, and let's do a overlay asset. So here it is. This is the one it's now rented by the customer we just set up. It's a test customer. Let's go ahead and edit this. And here it is right here. And the first example we're going to do is we're going to do an overlay. We have 2 choices, a skin page and an overlay. An overlay is the easiest to understand, so we're going to do that first. So I've set this at overlay. Then I'm going to go back into all my renters. And this is the renter that we're working with right now. And I'm going to go into the edit actions. And inside here, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and this is the property URL. They could have multiple property URLs, by the way, if you so granted them that. We come right over here to customization, and in customization, I'm going to set the overlay on here. Okay, so what happens now is that when we save this, we'll get a confirmation that it's been done correctly. It says right here that this website, dakotalakes.com, has been overlaid with theCallZoo.com. So this is a really fantastic way to close a difficult client. For example, if your prospect's site for a particular search term is on, say, page 3, and your lead gen site for the same search term is on page 1, you could simply contact them and say, hey, I'd like to show you how powerful our services is. I'm going to now take your page right now, which is on page 3. Could you please search on the search engines for this keyword? Do you see it on page 3? Yes. Okay, could you just wait 30 seconds, please? You come in the back end here, you put an overlay on it, their site over yours, press refresh, ask them to refresh the screen, and then they'll notice that for the same keyword search term, that their site that was on page 3 is now like magic on page 1. I don't know a better way that you could close a client than that. So anyways, that's what's really powerful about that. When you go back into the clients, if the client were to go back into property management, they could go into property management, and they have a very similar screen, and they could customize it, and they would just customize it simply by clicking on here. And when they expand this, they'll get the same screen as here, and they could enter in a different website if they wanted to, but obviously they wouldn't do that. But that's what they have inside of their website on here. Okay, so the next example we're going to go over is now we're going to change it from an overlay to a skin. So let's go in here to all assets again, and here it is, and this is our site. It's rented by our test renter. I'm going to go ahead and edit the actual asset itself. And now I'm going to come down here, instead of overlay, I'm going to do a skin page. Okay, so now here's the page without the skin on it. This is the original page. And this is very intuitive and easy to use. Any place that you highlight, say for example this, okay, if I highlight this here, or let's start with the title. If I click on the title, clicking on the title, puts the green box around it. And these are all the features that I could grant them with this on here. I could grant them just to bold it, italicize it, or I could select all. And when they all turn yellow, that means these are all the functions, basically all the edit functions that they have. For the advanced content, I could also do that as well. They could add images on here, HTML, and they could play a video. I could give them one or all of these, or select a couple. And I could do the same thing with the special content. So once it's selected all and it remains yellow, or I could select all and say they can't add a link, then they don't have that feature. I would save that, and now and then I would save it here, and now the customer only has the rights that I gave them only for this section of the site. Or I could click on another section of the site, say this was the bottom of a paragraph on here, and I would go ahead and just select all for that. And this would basically give them all the edit details that they need. I would save that, and this would normally be, for me, how I would use this is I would allow them to edit, for example, their contact information or an address. So usually at the bottom of a page you would have that information. You just simply find it, highlight it here with the green box, click on it, and then the edits will appear. Okay, so I'd go ahead and select all those and save. I wouldn't be necessarily giving them content on the page that they could edit, because that's obviously going to affect the SEO. For me personally, I would not give them ability to edit the phone number, because the way that I like to, although you could, but the way I like to do it is I like to set up a pay-per-call system in there so that they can also see, and we can track how many phone calls they're actually getting, so they can see the value of them renting this website. So let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so that's what the skin page on here. You can go a little bit more advanced with it if you choose, and this is how you would do it. On this particular site here, as I'm using as an example, I have a contact, get in touch with it, contact us page. So more than likely, most of you will just give them access to this. So what I would do is I would just copy the end of that URL. I would go back into the Serply system, and right next to here, I would just paste that in, and I would add new page. So now what I'd simply do is I would just allow them the entire place on here. I would just click on this. I would give them all rights on here. If they wanted to add some advanced controls in here, like a video or something, I would add that as well. I would save it, and now all they can do is just only adjust this on here, their about page. That makes a lot more sense to me than having them change or edit the top page or the home page, particularly if it's going to affect any SEO. So now they have 2 pages on here. This one does have a skin on it. I would limit the amount of edits they can make, but certainly on the contact us page, I should be able to have them edit the contact information. However, if you're doing a pay-per-call type model with this, or at least if you're doing a flat rate, plus maybe you're sending them a pay-per-call call sheet on that end of it, or even using our CallZoo system, which you have access to as a discount. Just go into your members area or contact our support to learn more about that. Then you're going to want to be able to deliver that kind of value to them, and they can log into that back end, see how many calls that your site delivered, and they can really add concrete value to it. So if they're getting, say, 10 calls, 10 trackable and recorded calls that CallZoo manages for you, and they answer all of those, and they close an average of 5 of those, and each of those equals, $200 of revenue to them. So they've generated $1,000, but you're charging them, $200 per month for a flat rate for the site. They can clearly see the value in that, and that's important to be able to quantify that, because a lot of times business owners are fairly clueless unless they track it of exactly how their money is being spent. Okay, so from the customer's perspective, when they log in, they're now going to see this as their site editor on here. And so remember, we gave them on the contact page. Okay, so from the customer's perspective, when they come to the back end, by the way, if they have any outstanding invoices, it'll show this red message up here. So if they come in here and they simply click here, then they have the message here that they just hit the customize button, and they'll be taken to the contact page of your lead gen site, and they'll only be able to edit what we just granted them. And they could simply come in here and just enter whatever they want. So, and then go ahead and save that. Okay, so the message here is to activate your new skin. On here, set activate below in the site manager. So they're in the site manager right now. You just simply click on here, and right here, set to activate. And now it's active. Okay, property has now been active. Alrighty, so I hope that helped out. I would strongly encourage you to create your own test customer, add one, add some skins, add an overlay, add some various pages, contact pages, and get familiar with the system. I think once you run through it one time on your own, you'll be an expert at that point. Just wanted to show you really quickly how we would delete that, how you delete a renter or delete your test renter. We go to all renters. And then this is the test one that we did. So we're going to go into the Actions Edit button here. And when we're in here, the first one, we take the actions here. We need to delete this. Confirm that you want to do that. And then what you'll do is you'll scroll down to the bottom and you'll delete the customer profile. So basically we had to delete the invoice first and then delete the customer profile. Okay, that's it. Talk to you in the next video.